You are listening to the 5 a.m. podcast, and today is your day. Welcome to the 5 a.m. podcast. I'm your host, Michael Klassen, and today I'm excited to sit down with someone who spent the last 20 years navigating the chaotic world of high-stakes product launches. My guest today is Michael Doddsworth, founder and CEO of Fanfare, a platform that's completely reimagining how brands handle their biggest moments. After witnessing firsthand the server meltdowns, the bot invasions, and the customer riots that happen when Taylor Swift tickets go live or limited edition sneakers drop, Michael has built something to fix the broken product launch experience from both sides. Fanfare transforms these high-pressure releases into smooth, engaging events that build that thing that we all want, lasting loyalty instead of the temporary hype. With built-in messaging, interactive rewards, and the all-important bot-proof queuing systems, the platform gives brands the tools to turn fleeting excitement into genuine fan connections. Now, Michael's journey includes time at Salesforce, experience with ticketing platforms, and a front row seat to some of the most infamous product launch disasters in recent memory. He's here to share what actually works, what brands get catastrophically wrong, and how to build moments your audiences will never forget. Now, as we get started, please consider sharing this with 3 of your friends. I know that many are going to appreciate this conversation. And now, Michael, welcome to the 5 a.m. podcast.
It's great to be here. That was quite the welcome. I feel every one of those 20 years.
I bet you do. I bet you do. Yes. Well, that experience is so invaluable. The hits and the misses, they really fill up the mental storehouse with what to do and what not to do. And so, speaking of those 2 decades in the trenches of the high stakes product launches, let's dive into Fanfare. I'd love to hear about your journey from those early days at places like Salesforce to the moment you decided to tackle this problem head on.
Yeah, so my origin story is actually, as you can tell from the accent, I'm not from around these parts. So I came to the United States as part of an acquisition by Salesforce. So we went for a very small company, 7 people, to Salesforce in 2007. And one of the things as an engineer you have to adjust really quickly to is anything that we roll out is just going to be hammered by an enormous amount of traffic on day one. I found my way into search, and search is the most trafficked area of Salesforce. So anything we built, you just had to think about what it was going to look like if hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people all found their way through to that part of your application from day one. So I think that helped, foster in me this sense of wanting to do things properly, wanting to make sure that like scalability of a platform is, the strongest feature, the most prominent feature that you have is performance. So from an early stage, really started to think about these kind of gnarly distributed systems problems. And then went through into more something on the consumer side. So went to Optimizely for a few years, incredible issues of scale there too. But, more around user traffic, been able to understand user profiles and build them up and so on. And then someone from my old days came up to San Francisco to talk to me about Rival, which was the ticketing platform that they had embarked on, that they were building out. And as the name kind of is a little on the nose. We felt like there was no competition to the likes of Ticketmaster, and they really should be. If we want to really improve the consumer experience, you have to do something to try and innovate in that space. And we ended up really focusing on these large-scale events. So we had the Cronkies as early investors. They have the Rams, SoFi Stadium, and so on. So how can you deal with like a Taylor Swift on sale? What does that look like? Like, what does it look like from the consumer's perspective? We've all been there. It's terrible. You're staring at a spinner. You're like there with your coffee at 9 a.m. and you feel frustrated through the whole process. But on the vendor side, what does that look like? It kind of looks like a DDoS attack. You have millions of people show up all at once, all of them with multiple tabs open, all of them hitting refresh as quickly as they can. And then you have a bunch of actual bad actors the bots and so on who just want to arbitrage the tickets that are on sale. So really gnarly issue to deal with. To scale up quickly and then scale back down again is something that you really need to, again, think about from the very beginning. And we built a platform to do that. But fast forward to the start of the pandemic, Rival was scooped up by Ticketmaster. And I lasted a few months there, but the frustration was growing inside me that we had this opportunity to really fix these issues for the consumer, for the fans. Like I love going to concerts, right? I love going to festivals, and like every time I'm paying this tax, this painful process to get them, and I didn't see it getting resolved where I was, and decided that, I should really do something about this. Like we built a platform to deal with exactly this. I think I understand from a technical perspective what it means to do this. So why not? Why not do something on my own and figure this out for myself?
Yes. So then I would say, yes, I have experience with the trying to buy tickets online and other things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always have the FOMO part of the need for being an early adopter or something. I've learned patience in my life, we could say that. But in watching like Silicon Valley or the IT crowd, you see a glimpse into guys with startup companies like yourself trying to get funding. And did you have those kind of awkward moments too, of being in an incubator and people wanting a piece of the pie and you trying to find the right partners? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, finding the right partners is so important. Finding the investors that just understand what it is you're building, the direction that you're going. Like, it really shortcuts that conversation. Like, just having someone who's there to support you. Investors are incredibly well networked, right? And that's their superpower. They can go and they can introduce you to people that you would really struggle to reach. So that's really important. Like, if you find people who understand the area, who've been in there for decades, who have this giant network, who they talk to on a regular basis and can ask their input and get their feedback, it's really important. But it's challenge for me as a first-time founder going out into the world and pitching investors. Like, you have to learn really, really fast.
Yeah.
Like, stuff just doesn't, no one cares about the tech that you've built, right? No one cares about how cool the product is at that stage, right? They just want to understand, what pain are you solving for? Like, who is this that you're going after? What does this look like in 5 years? What does this look like in 10 years? So really been able to, clearly lay out that narrative, lay
Right.
out your goal, your vision for the product, your vision for the company is really important. So it was a challenge for sure. A lot of ghosting, a
Yes.
lot of confounding conversations, a lot of no's. But you only need a few yeses.
That's right.
And I think someone said lemons ripen early, right? You get the no's more quickly than you get the yeses. The yeses take a little bit of consideration. The no's come really fast. So it's a little disconcerting. Like,
Yeah.
you have this vision in mind. You believe it can solve a real pain point for customers, and you just get wave after wave of no's. But then you find the right people. They understand what you're building, and then the yeses come, and you can move on. You can
Right.
you can continue your journey.
And then, so along with then building the software and the coding and working out bugs, you're also building bridges and relationships, and building your story too. Can you talk a little bit about how you built that story that would engage with those prospective investors?
Yeah, I think it's listening. It's actually hearing people's feedback. This is why I dislike the ghosting. I much prefer you give me very candid, brutal
Yes.
feedback, because I can adjust. I
Yeah.
can actually fix some things from that. So I really feel for the investors who said no to us in those early stages, but they said no after having like a detailed conversation with us, right? They really gave us feedback and they really wanted to understand, which allowed us to adjust. So it is that, listening to what the investors say, trying to read the room, like what's resonating, what's causing confusion. I think we're going after a niche. We were focused on streetwear and footwear initially. Like that's not really a strong overlap with many VCs, right? Many VCs are not waiting in line at 3 o'clock in the morning waiting for Jordan 1s to go on sale.
Yes, right.
So they really, you have to provide examples that make a ton of sense to VCs. Like maybe it's, that exclusive restaurant that they couldn't get access to. Maybe it's, some other luxury items that maybe they struggle to get. Like maybe it's the ticketing example. Like they've all had to buy tickets and they've struggled to get them. Like it may not be streetwear and footwear that works for everyone.
Right. Right. And so then that's developing the story side, but there's also developing that personal relationship and as they say, shaking babies and kissing hands, or it might be the other way around. Can you talk a little bit about those interpersonal relationships that you had to navigate?
Yeah, I think what surprised me actually was how open many of the investors were to introducing me to their network of other investors. Like maybe we're not their thesis, right?
Yeah.
We're a little early or we're a little late or like we're not down the line for them and it's not something they're looking at investing in, but they know a ton of people who would be interested. So I think that is really helpful and think like having a good relationship with those people and just keeping them up to date with where you are in the process really helps them to like understand who you are, what you're doing and how you're going to be if they invested in you. It's a long-term relationship you're going to have with your investors. So they have to trust you, right? They have to believe in what you're doing. So it's important that you don't see it as just, the money's in the bank, so now I'm going to disappear off and you're not going to see me for 10 years, right? Like you have to be in the trenches with them. So it's really important to, not just meet and greet, kiss the babies, like actually try and figure out if these people are going to be people that you want to work with for a long-term project. Like, do you trust them? Can you have a good conversation? Can you get feedback from them? Are they going to give you the right connections that are going to push you through to the next stage? Are they going to help you at that next stage? Like all of those things are critically important too.
Yeah. So did you find anybody that heard your initial pitch maybe and said, "Shut up and take my money, Michael"? Or was it more of the offering to hold hands and things like that?
Yeah, it's more offering to hold hands. I think, if you're in AI, there's probably some folks who would just throw money at you for what you're doing. But, this is definitely something that's more niche. Right. We're going after a very targeted area. And I think that makes us have like staying power. This gives us longevity and like we can build a solid company here. But that does mean that you need to have more of a conversation with these people so they understand exactly where you're going, what the vision is, and that it aligns with what they think. Because they have their understanding of the market too and where they think it's going. And if the two things overlap, then good times.
Yes, right. And so often it's much more important to have someone who will open doors for you than just open a checkbook.
100%.
And be there for the long haul. And did you find that you were maybe mentored in a little bit of a way with some of the people that came to join you with Fanfare?
You mean the investors that joined us?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like our lead investors, Infinity Capital, I'll give them a plug. They're spectacular human beings. But incredibly well connected, have been in this space, in the retail space for a very long time, have gone through a lot of M&A activity and have been building things at eBay and so on. So they are incredibly knowledgeable, and the Rolodex that they have, the ability for them to just reach out to the decision maker immediately for like a large company that I'm trying to reach it's so helpful. Even if you don't get that sale, like to have that discussion with someone to understand where they're coming from. Like maybe you'll go after them in a year or two. They're not quite there yet, but you can start having that conversation and get feedback, which is really critical. So yeah, they were spectacular for me at opening doors, and they're just a good group of human beings. So sitting down with them and just talking about like where they feel the market is pulling and getting their feedback, like very honest feedback,
Right.
is really helpful.
And so did you have maybe some challenging discussions of people, maybe not that particular group of people, saying, well, you're not quite there yet and you have to work on this component? Did you get some of those bits of advice that you were like, man, I did not want to hear it. I know they're right, but I got to follow them on this one?
No, actually, no.
Okay.
I think that the feedback was definitely, you know, maybe you want to adjust the order at which you do this. Maybe you want to push this back on the roadmap. Like maybe you want to target this area first and then move on. And it's usually backed up by just their knowledge and understanding of the market. Like it's going to be really hard for you to challenge competitors in this space because of these reasons. In this space, we see a huge opportunity because of X, Y, and Z. So I think that's really helpful. But I think if they're fundamentally just kind of changing the entire direction of the company, like they probably weren't sold on the idea in the first place.
Yes.
So they had an understanding of what we were building towards, and they're sold in on that vision. I think just the execution of that, like again, first time founder,
Yeah.
like there's a ton of pitfalls that they've seen founders fall into
Right.
that they can help their portfolio avoid. Right? There's there's a million things that they can do to tweak things inside the company that will make me more successful. So you really have to listen to their input there because they've seen so much of this, and I've seen a handful. So
Right.
it's really that's also important information, like the pitfalls that people have fallen into time and time again, how you can just try and sidestep those. You'll probably make your own mistakes,
Yes.
but if you can course correct quickly enough, like maybe you'll add to their roster of things that they tell people to avoid in future. But it's good to have that knowledge and experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And where would we be without learning from not only our own mistakes, but the mistakes of others? And it's nice that they can have some red flags for you along the way. So, do you have a artificial intelligent type component in Fanfare?
We have a couple that we're building out. So one is actually on the ability for brands, retailers, vendors to be able to ask information or ask questions of their data. Like we see a lot of brands that are, they know the questions that they would ask. They just don't know how to ask them, right? Or the platform that they're using doesn't allow them to interrogate the data in the way that makes sense to them. So allowing them to use plain text to ask, what sold best in the last quarter? Was it red hoodies or was it yellow sneaker? Like that kind of level of information, they just can't interrogate the data in that way, but they really want to. The marketers there, the brand marketers, the people operating the store, they really want to pull insights from the information that they have. They just don't know how to do it. So I think AI can be really helpful in allowing them to just ask simple questions, interrogate the data in a way that makes sense to them. And the second side is just building the experience itself. I think these people tend not to be incredibly tech savvy. They usually reach out to agencies and consultants to try and craft their experience for them. There's a lot of back and forth, doesn't quite line up with exactly what the brand wants. I think being able to provide a tool that, again, allows them just to describe the experience, to give examples, and to have us then build the experience with them, I think is really cool. So more to come on that.
Yeah.
We're still in the process of building. The tooling has moved ridiculously in the last 12 months on that. So I'm really excited for that.
Yes. And so then, speaking of the data that comes from the consumer base, does it mainly come from the consumers or does it come from the business side as well?
Yeah, actually, both. And there's a lack of visibility into both. Like sometimes there's just like an overwhelming amount of information on the business side from all of the different vendors that they have. Like maybe they're using, Google Analytics over here to track people coming into the store. They have analytics from their marketing channels. They have like information on X, on like there's all kinds of information, but stitching all of that together is just something they can't do. Like it's just they have to look over there, then look over there, and then look over there, and try and piece it together themselves. And then on the consumer side, the biggest win that we can give to people is, when they do a launch like this, it tends to be a scarce product that they're launching. Like most people will be unsuccessful in getting their Taylor Swift tickets or their Switch 2 or whatever it is. And they tend to only find out about the people who are successful. So Nike did a drop a couple of years ago now where they had 3.4 million people show up for the launch. And it was for 50,000 pairs of sneakers. Like that's an enormous number of people who you could have asked them a question, right? You could have asked them what they were interested in seeing next, like ask them what colorway they're interested in, what product they're interested in. There was ways to engage people and try and bring them back into the brand, but there's just no way of doing it right now. So that's where we can really help brands and retailers just really like squeeze as much as they can out of those experiences.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I know in my research I was coming across that 2% number. And so that must be, then there could be 98% of the willing participants missed out.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you have some strategies then for engaging the 98%? And a 98%? Yeah, that's right. Got to do some maths in my head while we're talking here.
Yeah, I think, just knowing who those people are, first of all, being able to understand, like, this person keeps coming back time and time again, and they are unlucky. They've just failed to get their thing, not because they didn't want to. They spent hours with the brand.
Yeah.
They were just unlucky. Being able to provide them something, like whether it's loyalty points that move them forward in line, give them a higher probability of getting the next drop, whether that's rolling them into an exclusive experience just for them. We've seen a brand create this L Club, they called it. So people who failed in the last 5 times to get their sneakers, they're going to roll them into an exclusive drop just for those people.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
There's a feeling like your time and effort with the brand has been rewarded, right? They didn't just forget that you showed up. You didn't purchase anything, but you really tried. You really keep trying. And you're like a VIP in the making. So we should reward your time and effort with the brand. So keeping people engaged in that way, making people feel like they're, been cared for by the brand. Like they actually, there's someone there who really wants these people to succeed and get through and purchase the products in the end. Like that's really important.
Yeah, that makes sense too, especially if you have somebody coming back time and again trying to get it, and all your potential consumer is just getting the wheel of patience.
Same with the holiday periods. Like you might do a flash sale, and we've all done this, right? Like we've been watching that brand. We're just waiting anxiously for something to go on sale so we can, maybe it's the price point was just out of reach for us. But like knowing that you showed up, knowing that you keep showing up for that brand, like you have potential there, right? And understanding what those people want and being able to reach those people is really important.
Thanks for watching the show. Just a reminder that you can get all of our resources, other episodes, and read our blog posts at 5ampodcast.com. 5am Podcast is brought to you in part by mkci.ca, a certified member of the Autodesk Developer Network. MKCI helps companies maximize their AutoCAD, Inventor, Navisworks, and other design software investments. Their innovative products like the CommandSys script editor and the Clash Management Suite will streamline your workflow and boost your productivity. Visit mkci.ca today to discover how they can enhance your competitive CAD advantage. That's mkci.ca. Thank you for your support of 5am Podcast. Yeah, that's a really good way to look at the potential consumer over the one that has won out. And of course, for the people that get the sold out message and they can't reload and all their tabs are not yielding anything for them. Can you take us behind the scenes of maybe what's actually happening when these systems are overtasked and not producing the fruit that the consumer wants?
Yeah, I've had actually a friend reached out to me after the Switch 2 launch and asked me, is this just part of the process when Best Buy falls over? Like, is that by design? Like, because it creates the feeling of more scarcity when they fall over like that. And the answer is no. The answer is chaos is happening on the other side of that fence. Like, there are fires going off that people are trying to extinguish as fast as they can because they're losing customers. They're losing customers to other big box retailers who can keep their services up. Ticketmaster's a slightly different example just because where else are you going? All right. But for all of these different brands and retailers, like, you're frustrating your customers, one, so they may not come back. If you fall down in that moment, someone's going to go somewhere else first to go buy that product. And then from an engineering perspective, like, the chaos behind the scenes, you're losing money, you're frustrating customers, you're not providing the experience that they want. You're probably been attacked by bots, right? Because there's an enormous incentive for them to go and scoop things up. And usually people are just frantically trying to diagnose what problem is facing them right now and get through that moment. But there's an understanding that here it comes, like, we're probably going to fall over. Like, if you're an existing vendor, you probably know you're going to fall over. You probably know it's going to go badly. And you're just preparing for the other side of that. Like, we're going to get dragged on social media. There may be articles written about us because the process is so poor. We're going to have to just put things in place to deal with that messaging after the fact. So it's start to finish. Like, it's such a powerful model. Like, I remember the moments that I purchased something that was exclusive, that was scarce, and it really sticks with you when it works. When it doesn't work, that sticks with you too. Like, you remember the time you stared at that spinner because you couldn't get Oasis tickets. Like, that's going to stick with you for a long, long time. So enormous potential in that moment, but there's an enormous potential to anger people in that moment too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so is that then kind of what it looks like from the brand's perspective when this launch is happening?
Yeah, I mean, even larger brands, like, they know it's coming, they know it's going to be painful. I mean, we speak to a lot of streetwear, footwear brands that are more on the smaller end. So they have giant audiences, like a really strong narrative, and then just not a lot of resources to run events like this. So for them, it's sometimes it's so frustrating to them that they almost want to bail on the process entirely. Like, I've seen artists do that before, where they've had a collaboration with Nike, for example. So they're really, like, they've been building towards this for over a year, right? They've been building out the products, been ready. And then on that last day, in the final hurdle, they just trip up, maybe because of bots, maybe because of legit traffic they weren't expecting. And it causes so much pain for them that they feel like this is not something I want to do again. And, like, having them have something that can solve that problem for them,
Right.
that takes that pain away. Like, you can run these as often as you like. You can run these on Black Friday and know that it's going to stay up. People are not going to get frustrated. It's not going to be a painful experience with bots. And, like, you can celebrate in that moment. You've launched this product with Nike. It's a huge moment for you. You don't have to deal with the tail end of the bad experiences people go through.
Right. So then can you talk a little bit about the bots is there a main source of the bots, or what is their function, just to buy as much of the product as they can, or are they just some corporate people trying to put down competition or something like that?
I mean, all of the above.
Yeah.
It really depends who you are, what you're selling. I mean, there's, even with like sneaker drops, for
Yes.
example, like, you get the script kiddies, the people who, like, really want these things. They're not too sophisticated, but given where the tooling is right now, they can certainly build something that's way more sophisticated than they could 12 months ago, 24 months ago. Those can be a real problem. Then you get more sophisticated people who are resellers, people who do this for a living. And again, their tooling has definitely ramped up. They can use residential proxies. They understand the platforms underneath. to a better extent because they do this time and time again. So they have their whole system down for getting these things. And the same goes for ticketing too. And then, like you say, there's people who just want to cause chaos. Uh, they're more rare, but you definitely see it. Like in ticketing, for example, people will just like to jam up the process. There's some secondary incentives with ticketing because you can sell tickets before you actually own them on the secondary market, which causes a problem. Like some people just want to watch the world burn, right? Some people just want to bring you down. So those are also a huge problem. You're going to deal with all three of those during a very public on sale.
Right. So one of the big things was the Taylor Swift ticket fiasco. And so was that, can you explain maybe what took place in the background there?
Yeah, so that was it was actually a Taylor Swift pre-sale. So this is before the general on sale. So there's an expectation that people who have access, people who are part of the fan club, have been given access codes and so on, are the only people who are going to come into this. That's a very naive way of thinking.
Yeah.
If you know these things are going to go on sale, you are going to try and get them. If you're a diehard Swiftie, you're going to pile through and try and get them. So what actually happened was you have this carved out process just for Taylor Swift's, early access members and so on. But the rest of Ticketmaster is just open for people to sign up, sign in, do whatever they want to do. And they had a ton of people sign up in that moment. So Ticketmaster should have expected that was going to happen, but their focus was just around this pre-sale experience. But the whole site just got hammered from people just kind of interested in what they could see, signing up, seeing if they could get through. And again, like it's a platform that's been doing this for a few decades at this point, having seen the inside of some platforms that are a couple of decades old. They kind of turn into this kind of Frankenstein's monster on the back end. They've glued bits on, they've added features. It's not a cohesive thing. It's just a kind of jumbled up mess of a thing. And then when you pressure test that and you send a ton of traffic, it just kind of disintegrates in all kinds of interesting ways. My first car, I always liken it to my first car. My first car in college was this terrible, terrible white Ford Fiesta.
Okay.
It used to whistle when you went above 65 miles an hour. The wing mirrors used to whistle. But it's like you threw that car into like a 200-mile-an-hour race, right? Like it's just not built for that purpose, and it's going to disintegrate and fall apart in all kinds of interesting and fun ways that you didn't expect. And the same goes for like a platform like Ticketmaster. So again, trying to start from nothing and knowing that these kind of events is what we're going to specialize in. The 3-4 million people showing up, like, and who knows what that's going to be over the next decade. Maybe 20 million people show up to an online experience. We have to be ready for those kind of things. So everything that we make has to be able to be pressure tested to that extent.
Yeah. And so then with Fanfare, what were some of the pressure testing things that you ran the software through?
I mean, we have our own fairly extensive battery of testing that we send it through. It's not the cheapest thing for us to do, but we have all kinds of different scenarios that we have vetted out and made sure are realistic and all of those things. But really, running customer tests and running actual events with some additional traffic on the side is really important because, again, like there's all kinds of things that people will try that aren't in your scenarios that you have to be ready for. So you learn from those, you roll them into the next one. But I think running real consumer tests as well as all of this battery of things that you've built up on the side is really critical for us. I mean, there's always going to be things that catch you out. And again, like architecting is not just about like adding servers to deal with that demand. It's knowing how to shed load in a graceful way, like gracefully degrading things over time. Like maybe you don't get the premium experience, but you get something, right? You get something back that's reasonable. And then you can scale things back up when things calm down. So I think it's really thinking about how you architect around the unknown, how you can kind of plan for things like that, rather than just massively scaling up just to hope for the best.
Right. So now we're not wrapping up quite yet, but there might be some people who are listening and they're saying, "Oh, I got to get in touch with Michael." So how do they get in touch with you, and how do they find Fanfare?
They can email me directly. It's just michael@fanfare.io. I'm always on LinkedIn for my sins, so please reach out and grab some of my time on LinkedIn. We've been building up case studies and things on Fanfare's blog. People find them incredibly useful just to figure out what not to do,
Right.
what they can do to try and squeeze the most out of these experiences. And there's always timely examples that you can point to. Like Ariana Grande was only a couple of months ago. Like there's a rolling set of examples that we can point to here of what not to do and what to do. So please have a look and reach out.
So I'm thinking about bots again. Have there been some things that you've seen in your testing that you were like, I did not see that coming? That is very innovative and clever.
I mean, yes, just the use of residential proxies and things like that. There's also been some surprises that the vendors don't do more. Like real surprise of, you'll go and take a look to see what bots people are running.
Okay.
And it's like 6 lines of Python. Like, that's it? That's how people are working around, I'll name names, Shopify, for example.
Okay.
Like, it's really easy to craft something just to work around the guards that are in place on some platforms. That was a huge surprise, because you expect they have these events fairly often. You would expect like a serious investment to try and fix that problem, but there isn't a ton of examples to point to there. What else has surprised me? Actually, an in real life experience surprised me. Our first in real life experience, just because we were trying to set up a system where you can use passkeys, you could sign up, you can go through the process, and just uncovering just how people's phones are set up in the real world, especially like a Gen Z, people showing up to these streetwear and footwear, like no passwords set up, running in incognito mode 100% of the time. Like one person running with like CSS was completely broken. We managed to fix his phone in that moment. Just brokenness from start to finish. So that was interesting. A real note to us to try and make sure like we're doing the simplest thing, and that we gracefully degrade the consumer experience there too. Like everyone should be able to get in. It shouldn't just be the people who have their phones nailed down and all of that stuff squared away. So that was a learning lesson for sure, in the moment with people in front of you trying to get into those experiences.
That is fascinating to see that, not only the behind the scenes on the software and the coding side, but also on the tangible user being there in real life. So I want to ask you about this approach of these drops and exclusive buy events. They have become widespread. What are most companies maybe missing about it, and what makes a launch event like this successful?
Yeah, I think on both fronts, just real clear intent for what it is you're doing. Like, it's not just about throwing things against the wall and hoping they stick. Like the brands who are really successful with this kind of model, they have an audience they want to reach, right? They have a demographic they want to reach, and they try and find ways to create a viral moment. Maybe it's with collaborating with influencers, finding the right people, and really when they have those moments, being able to like triple down on them to capture the audience. I think that's it's a real intentional thing. It's not just happenstance that these viral moments happen with these brands. So I think that's the biggest mistake that we see, is just, I see all of these other brands doing it. We should do it too. We're not really sure what it is that they're doing. We're just going to throw these products out into the world and see what happens. Like, there's a real orchestration that needs to happen with multiple teams trying to make these things successful. So I would definitely see, like, the case studies are good examples that you can follow, like the tangible steps that some of these brands took to make sure that they are successful when they do these. And if they're not, like, what did they learn from that experience that they can roll into the next one? Like, again, it's very experimentation is not just shotgun, like scattergun approach. It's really intentionally like, what are we trying to test? What are we trying to learn from this experience? And then on the other side, like, what did we learn and how can we roll this into the next one?
Right. And so what is there kind of like a ballpark dollar figure that companies would spend just on that launch part? And is there kind of an expected return on investment that they might have?
Yeah, I mean, Stanley is a good example of like how incredibly successful you can be with this model. They tripled their revenue three years in a row. So they went from being like a fairly well known but historic brand to something people were elbowing people out of the way to get in Target. So that was an incredible, focused, diligent process that they went through. They had someone from Crocs join them to really focus on these kind of events. What people spend, it's really depending on the market that you're trying to reach, the products that you're selling. I think we see a lot of people who maybe they have an audience that they've been building through TikTok or through Instagram or whatever it is, and they want to monetize that audience. Like there's a way that you can set something up to run an experiment to see, like, maybe there's some merch that you want to get out into the world. Maybe there's something that you want to give to your fans. So that can be on the smaller end. And then on the Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift end, like
Yes.
there's years in the making for things like that. And, when it falls down to the last hurdle, it's especially painful.
Yeah, okay, so that's not something I would have thought that there would be like maybe 18 months of planning that goes into that.
Yeah, I mean, it can be like if there's a collaboration with a Nike, like they have to, go through the design process, they have to source materials, like there's all kinds of things that are rolled into that. Sometimes there's seasonality involved with these launches too, like I have to thread a needle with the launch window. So that's incredibly important. If you're working with an athlete, like you have to time it with the season, like all of that stuff has to go into these experiences too. So
Wow.
it's not happenstance at all.
Okay.
It's like very, very careful and thoughtful.
And so then there's a lot of investment financially that's put into this and planning too. Like there's a lot of moving parts, not just with your platform Fanfare. And so how much of that do you see from your point at Fanfare?
We've actually been building out more functionality to help them with some of these pieces. Like we started life just focusing on that on sale experience and making that a good experience for their customers and for the vendors. But then seeing that this is just a whole orchestrated event that they're putting together, it involves like marketing, like the announcements, the constant pushes that they're doing. Then after the fact, like tying it all back together to try and bring people in. Maybe there's recommendations you want to send to people who are unsuccessful. Like it's a whole thing. So we've been building out that whole thing. So you can understand like what is the best places to reach people given like the way that we're selling these products, the way other people may sell these products. These channels work. Here is the timing for these announcements that work for those people. Here is how not to saturate their inboxes with spam, right? Because they
Right.
stop paying attention. So helping people structure these whole things and like allow people from that team to all come together to work on these launches, because often it's just the marketing team working off in isolation and the product team and then the customer success team. There's no like one place that they can go to understand end to end, how is this launch going, what's coming up, what do we do after the fact. So that's where we're trying to build
Oh,
out this
yeah.
functionality.
So then, from my experience doing project management work, I'm like in my mind as you're talking, I'm seeing a whole critical path analysis and people being able to see that. That might
yeah
be
we
kind of, go
yeah we
ahead.
have this whole timeline, so you can see like this is when my you know, early access VIP members come in. Here is when we announced to them. Here is the traffic arriving from those announcements. Here is our general, like you can see the whole timeline of things laid out and you can see how things are going in that moment. So it kind of removes any concern that these people have, like, are these set up okay? Like, usually it's people like flipping switches in the moment and just like looking around to make sure everything is fine. That should not be how these things are run. Like, you should have like a well choreographed setup that we can manage for you to run these launches.
Yeah. Yeah. You certainly wouldn't want anything off the cuff. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's often, like you say,
Often.
the firefighting behind the scene often leads to, I've been there on the engineering side. Like,
Okay.
you just need to get through this moment, and you find something that looks likely to be the cause. Like, we've seen people turn off
Hmm.
payment methods. Like, we're
Oh,
just going to turn off Apple Pay because we think that's where the bots are coming in, and we're just going to turn off like whatever it is, and that those are legit customers. You've just cut off legit customers in your quest to get through that moment. So it can
wow.
be really painful for all
I
involved.
I get that. That'd be like someone standing at a bus bar in a production truck just pulling out cables because
Yeah.
they don't they I'm too stressed. Let's just pull cables out.
Hmm.
And so then Fanfare really was born from chaos.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the other side. I've been the
Yeah.
receiving end of a lot of these types of events,
Yeah.
and like you say, just the pulling of cables out, the not knowing where these things are coming from. Is it legit traffic? Is it not legit? Like, how are these things been sold on the secondary market? Like, who are these people? Like, all of that, I think, stops people using this model as often and as well as they could. It's a real opportunity to reach people. I feel like, I mean, for me, there's the things that you need and the things that you want. And the things that you want maybe it's sneakers, maybe it's tickets to an event, but maybe it's like some luxury coffee grinder, or maybe I have mechanical keyboards behind me you can't see, but like everyone has their thing that they go after. And like there should be a better experience around those things than there are.
Yes. So then let's then break down what happens in a traditional product drop versus what happens with Fanfare. Can you walk us through the experiences maybe from both that customer side but also from the brand side?
Yeah. So what we see when people, or what we saw in the past, was people were just trying to pull together all kinds of different products, vendors, to try and get them through that moment. So we've seen people use Google Forms to capture people's information, just other platforms that just do polling and so like they'll stitch these things together. And the problem with doing that is you only need one of these to fail and your whole experience is done. And that's what we see. We see, you run into throttling limits because Google Forms does not expect you to be hosting a drop for 200,000 people. So that's bad. And then on the brand side, just trying to scramble around, trying to find the right vendors and trying to integrate them into whatever store they have. Like maybe they have something that's homegrown and trying to build something out with an agency just to create an experience for their users. And then just trepidation as they get closer to the event. Like there's some excitement for sure, but also there's the knowledge that if this thing falls over, if bots come in and we end up having to like it can be a real worrisome, painful moment. Like a lot of brands just go through this every Black Friday. Right?
Right.
It's just
Oh,
this
yeah.
feeling of we're gonna have to batten down all the hatches. Like everyone's focused on this. This is a huge day for us. We know that pain is going to come and we just have to be ready and like it's all hands on deck. So that's the feeling when anyone goes into a launch like this.
Oh,
I
man.
remember speaking to people
Yeah.
from Best Buy before the Switch 2 launch,
Okay.
and the feeling was like, this is not gonna, this is not gonna go as well as we hoped. I just know it. Like there's that feeling with a lot of brands.
Yeah. Well, and it just from you talking makes me think of a groom and his bride and her family have like planned this elaborate wedding, but we have no idea who's coming. And if Jim comes with the biker club, that's just gonna mess everything up. But
Yeah.
that's, that's
Yeah, for my wedding, we had an Icelandic volcano. I don't know if you remember when that erupted.
oh yeah,
All flights were cancelled for 2 weeks. Okay. Oh, well, that's a once in a lifetime thing that just happened, but these things do.
that settles that then. Wow. Yeah. So then, um, I is there is this these product launches? Is this something that is going to keep going? It's a profitable thing for brands. Is this kind of um, do you see this component of business actually expanding to more products and services?
Yeah, I think it's a really powerful model. Like, I think it taps into something innately human that we can't switch off. Like anything that's scarce, anything that's, inaccessible is things that people will reach for. And, I think there's more opportunity to reach larger audiences now. So you can reach millions of people internationally, whereas like 10 years ago that was seemingly infeasible. So I see there's more of an expansion there. And we see, especially with Gen Z customers, there's more of a feeling that they want to be deeply connected with the brands that they're interested in. Like they want to engage with them. They want to like message them. They want to see what they're up to and provide their feedback way more than I used to do when I was growing up. So there's definitely more of that back and forth. There's definitely more of the ability to reach people in interesting ways. So I think this is a model that is going to expand.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense too, even from what you're saying. If people want, they may want the exclusivity, but they also want a sense of community in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm an aspiring sneakerhead. I have
Yep.
my collection in my wardrobe, and it's kind of when you see people out and they're wearing the shoe that, other people are just walking by, they're overlooking, but because you're
Yeah.
part of that group, you're
Right.
part of that community.
The
And
subculture.
yeah, like Swifties, like there are
Yes.
names for these people, right?
Yeah.
Because they
Right.
are part of this group.
Yeah.
So if you can foster that, if you can create this community feel around your brand, like that's lifelong loyalty in some cases.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I think back to my college days of my GTI Rabbit and being part of that VW subculture underworld kind of thing. So then that sneaker and streetwear world really then perfected the art of creating that hype and I guess creating scarcity too. What lessons should more traditional or legacy brands take from this playbook? And are there some common mistakes they could avoid?
Yeah, I think there's real opportunities to use or leverage other people's audiences that I see streetwear and footwear using a lot. So maybe that's artists. I think athletes are a very under-tapped resource. Like these people are incredible ambassadors for your brand. They can really help you reach a whole demographic that you're not reaching. And I don't see a lot of people using them. Like that seems like a real opportunity there. So I definitely see that from, Nike, Adidas, like the collaborations are the things that really move the needle for them. So I think that would be an example where you can do that. And it doesn't need to be the Kardashians that you reach, right? It could be someone who, maybe a cosmetics brand wants to reach someone who can do a how-to for their products, who is willing to be an ambassador for their products, and you can leverage them in that way. So that's a really important lesson, I think you can learn. Having a strong narrative as a brand is a real enormous benefit with this model. If you already have a strong narrative, like know that you have that and you can use that to a great extent with this model too. And we see a lot of brands out there who come to us, and when we look at their backstories, like this is incredibly useful. Like you should lean into this just in different ways and different channels. So that's really important. Where we see people fall down, uh, just cobbling together something at that last moment. Like there's so much of an investment upstream and then just an underinvestment in that moment. And when that happens, like you squander such a massive opportunity. There's an example from our pre-seed deck. It's kind of a strange one, but Applebee's had this Valentine's Day exclusive offer where people like they advertised it for months on the radio, like everyone was ready for it, and immediate fall over when it went on sale. And the feeling from everyone was this was a bait and switch. Like this was actually them just trying to get traffic. They didn't sell anything. I've never met anyone who actually managed to get one of these things. Like you have just negated all of the good work you did to drive that audience through. Like you've just caused enormous pain, and now people feel like that wasn't a legitimate process. Like that's a huge miss.
Mm, yes. And companies could be spending tens of millions of dollars or more. Like that almost sounds like too small of a number, but they could be, putting a massive amount of investment in up until this little, it's all that choke point in logistics.
Mm-hmm.
That's that one spot where everything comes to, and then it gets off the cuff or not, doesn't given the funds and development that it needs. So then just as we're wrapping up, we're getting close to our hour here, but I wanted to ask you, uh, you've compared those great launches to concerts rather than to checkouts. And can you dig into that just a little bit and how fanfare actually helps brands create something that's memorable, like an event?
Yeah. I mean, going back to my live event roots, like it's about creating that moment, that community feel where a bunch of people who are like-minded, who love that product, who love that brand, all come together and share in something. And you don't want it to be that they share in the frustration of being a Swiftie and not being able to
Yes.
get your tickets. You want them to share in something that like is engaging. Like they get to talk to the fans, they get to talk to the artists. We've run proof of concepts where people will actually live stream into the drop. So even if you're unsuccessful, like maybe you learn something, you got to see the person that you care about seeing, you got to talk to the brand in some way. It was some experience that, you know, helped you engage with the brand or understand the brand in
Right.
a better way. So I think those types of experiences really, really make a difference. Like if you think about like a Taylor Swift pre-sale, if Taylor had been live streamed into that pre-sale
Yeah.
and it had stayed up,
Yeah.
that would have been like, even if you were unsuccessful, like you got to see something that other people didn't, right? Because you were in that exclusive club, you got to see something that no one else did. So I think that kind of thing really can help people because some people are going to be disappointed. But if you feel like you care for them, right, that you're rewarding their time and effort with you, then, you know, they continue their journey with you.
Yeah, that sounds like you're adding some sizzle in with the steak, and people are actually getting an appetite satisfied by that additional interaction. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like
that's a
there's
brilliant.
yeah, there's so many examples. Like Disney is a good example, like their season ticket sales. Every year there's articles written about the process every time it happens because it's not good.
It just
Uh,
doesn't get executed correctly.
Yeah, and these are people spending thousands of dollars with Disney, like die-hard Disney fans. You're not going to offer them something, you're not going to give something to them in that moment, some exclusive offer or something exclusive to that experience in that moment for these people. Like it seems like a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah. Right, that's a good way to put it, of missed opportunity, and in a sense, they're building community, even just in that. So I want to ask you then future vision for fanfare. How do you hope maybe whether it's to transform the relationship between brands and their customers? What is your long-term vision for fanfare?
Yeah, I mean, every time we speak to a new brand, we find out some interesting thing that they're thinking about, especially on loyalty with their customers, like something that they want to, you know, incentivize their customers with, or something that they've heard from their customers are gonna like is gonna move the needle for them. So I think building out that part of it and helping you kind of close the loop so you can run these things frequently, know who's coming in and reward those people over time to create that kind of virtuous cycle. I absolutely want to get more into in real life experiences. Like we have the World Cup final, we have the Olympics coming up, like the idea of 70,000 people in a stadium all joining together in some kind of experience just for the people in that venue is really exciting to me. So that's absolutely a direction I think this can go. I really just want to make sure that we don't have to deal with these queuing problems anymore.
Yes, right.
Like I feel like there's so many different areas people uncover these things. And it's not necessarily like the high-end retailers, the Switch 2s. It can be people who need to go camping in a campsite that just is incredibly scarce, or whether it's people trying to get swim lessons for their kids. Like, all terrible experiences, all scarce resources that people are competing for, and everyone's kind of scrambling, setting multiple alarms at 9 a.m. so they get online. Like, it should not be that way,
right,
that we scramble to get these things.
Yeah, nice and orderly. Kind of like you're getting onto an airliner, going somewhere nice. Yeah, Michael, I got to say, this has been an educational and insightful conversation. I know I've loved it. I'm sure our listeners have as well, all about the hidden mechanics behind some of today's most exciting and sometimes frustrating brand moments. So, Michael, a sincere thanks for you sharing your experience and your vision with our audience.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. Nice to see that the back end of things and find out about those dastardly bots. So to our listeners, if you're interested in learning more about Michael's work with Fanfare, you can check out fanfare.io or follow him on social media. He did mention the LinkedIn connection there. So, and if you're a brand looking to transform your next product launch from a potential disaster to an unforgettable fan experience, it sounds like Michael and his team might be exactly the people that you need to talk to. And of course, not a paid endorsement, just out of the goodness of my heart, I'm mentioning that to you because we had a great conversation. So for the 5 a.m. podcast, I'm Michael Klassen. Please remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll catch you bright and early on our next conversation. Until then, please seize your days, enjoy those sunrises and sunsets, and all those beautiful adventures in between. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the show. Just a reminder that you can get all of our resources, other episodes, and read our blog posts at 5ampodcast.com. 5am Podcast is brought to you in part by mkci.ca, a certified member of the Autodesk Developer Network. MKCI helps companies maximize their AutoCAD, Inventor, Navisworks, and other design software investments. Their innovative products like the CommandSys script editor and the Clash Management Suite will streamline your workflow and boost your productivity. Visit mkci.ca today to discover how they can enhance your competitive CAD advantage. That's mkci.ca. Thank you for your support of 5am Podcast. Need morning momentum? 5am Podcast, Wednesdays, 7 a.m. on WDJY 99.1 FM.